Hey guys, today we're in the book of First Chronicles chapter 23. As David gets to the end of his life, he has now got everything together, all the supplies together to build the temple, and now he has a few last things he needs to do. And so today we look at he organizes and gives some new jobs to the Levites. And we see in verse 1 where it says, David was old and full of days. He made Solomon, his son, king over Israel. Remember, he had other sons and he skipped them, especially Adonijah, but he made Solomon the son, right? So he didn't make him the king while he was alive, but he told everybody that's what he wanted to happen, and that's what happened. And so David assembled all the leaders of Israel and all the priests and Levites. The Levites, notice this, 30 years and old. So he basically gets all the Levites together, and he's going to number them. He's going to count them. He's going to figure out how many Levites are there, how many are left, and what are they doing to make sure. And he's doing this for the simple fact of helping his son out, right? He knows that his son's going to build the temple because that's what the Lord wants. And in a part of his organizing and getting not just gold, silver, bronze, iron, all the things, wood that is needed for the tabernacle, he's going to get the Levites together so that when the temple is built, everybody knows what they need to do. They can hit the ground running. And so he gets all the Levites together, 30 years and older, and notice that there's 38,000 men who are ready to go forward. And it says they shall be in charge of the work in the house of the Lord. And they were broke out. 6,000 shall be officers and judges. 4,000 are gatekeepers. 4,000 shall offer praises. So when you see the biggest group of them, right, 24,000 of them are going to keep the temple moving. They're going to work, right? That's the sacrifices, that's the cleaning, that's the cutting, that's the purifying. That's kind of that nature. Then 6,000 of them will be outside of the temple, and these will be the officers and the judges. These will be the people at the city gates. These will be the people that when there is conflict between Israelites, who do they go to? These are these guys. They go and they help them to be basically judges to kind of help Israelites in problem, but also help them to live a better life. 4,000 of them are gatekeepers. Now, these are not gatekeepers necessarily on every city. These are gatekeepers of the temple. And so there will be certain gates at these temples, and they will do this. This also includes security, all types of things that will be needed. So it's not just somebody sitting at a gate. This is security of the priest, security of the temple. Of course, these would be just kind of some people at the gate, but as well as some of these would have been highly trained elite military people, right? So if Jerusalem is overtaken by soldiers, you're going to have the temple police. And so that's kind of what these guys are. And then we see there's 4,000 worship leaders, right? These are instrumentalists. They're going to singers. So that was a big part of the temple, right? So he gets all these down, and then he divides them into three families, three groups, and we've seen this before in previous, right? You have the sons of Levi, which is the Gershons, the Kohathites, and then you have the Merarites, right? And so these are these three sections, and each one of these God has already given a task to. And so once again, he's just organizing everything together. And then you just get list of who were there when he was numbering. You get the sons of Gershon. You get the sons of Kohathra, and then you get the sons of Mari, right? And so you get the people who were there. Notice in the sons of Kohath, it says Aaron and Moses and the descendants of. These were separate, right? Remember, all Levites worked at the temple, but all Levites were priests, but not all priests were Levites. Is that right? All Levites worked in and around the temple, but not all Levites were truly priests who were cutting, the sacrificing. Those were a special group, and those were truly descendants of Moses and Aaron. And so that's why in verses 13 through kind of 14, well, really 16, they get separated because they're like the special people, right? This is where the high priest is going to come out of. These are the people who are actually doing the actual sacrificing for sins. And so, though they're in three groups, there's an extra group, but those priests, those sons of Aaron, are still in the family of the Kohathites, right? So, just noticing there. Notice a couple of things that David changes, though, and this is important. And so David changes, starting in verse 24, a couple of things. Notice it says that he, as they were listed according to the number of names of the individuals from 20 years old and upward. Remember, when he organized them, it started at 30 years and up. Now it's going to be 20 and up. And you would say, well, why is he changing it? Well, David knows, and we're going to see in just a minute, but David knows that the tabernacle is coming to an end, right? So when it was 30 and older, it involved some maturity. It involved some physical part of picking up and moving the tent and moving all of the Ark of the Covenant and the candelabra and the showbread and the table of the showbread and the basin and the altar and the fence that went all around it and all of the coverings of the tent. And so all of that, now it's coming to be a building. It's not going to move anymore, but because it's not moving, everybody will be coming to it. So there's going to be a need of more people, more priests, more Levites working and doing the things, but it won't necessarily depend on physicalness as much as just needed labor. And so David adds the 20-year-olds. So now that they're 20, they can start being a Levite. They don't have to wait till they get 30. And then we see in verse 25, the reason that I just explained, it says that the Lord, the God of Israel, has given rest to his people, and he dwells in Jerusalem forever. Just as the Lord has given rest to the people being in the promised land, the Lord will rest himself, and the tabernacle will rest itself in Jerusalem in this temple. And that's why he moved from 30 to 20. Verse 28, it says their duty was to assist the sons of Aaron. And so these 20-year-olds and upwards, there was kind of hierarchy. Even though they're all Levites, they all still worked for the sons of Aaron, the ultimate priest, the high priest, the priest who were doing the sacrificing. And so there was, even though they're all Levites, but not all Levites are priests, and then you have the sons of Aaron who are the top. So there's a hierarchy or a chain of command, if you will. And then lastly, in verse 30, it says, it talks about the things that they had to do. And then verse 30, we see this very important thing that David adds, that they are to stand every morning and give thanksgiving and praising to the Lord, likewise as evening. This is new. This is not something that God told them to do in Exodus and Leviticus. This is something that David adds. And it's just a great nature. We would say the same today. When you wake up in the morning, do you love the Lord? Do you give him praise? Do you give him thanksgiving? Or do you reach for your phone? Or do you do this? Or you just go up and get your coffee? What's the first thing you do? And what's the last thing you do? And so David gives us a little bit of instruction as Christians of what we should do. The first thing and the last thing that we should do is to give thanksgiving and praise to the Lord. That's what the Levites would do, and that's what we should do. Now remember, this is just a retelling of history, right? The chroniclers is writing this to reminding them. Why? Because they're rebuilding Jerusalem, they're rebuilding the temple. All of this is starting, and the chronicler is reminding them there's already a process. Just keep to the process. What the Lord did hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, it's still good today. And so just reminding us that the priest is important. And what the priest does is has some form and function. And this is important because why? The Messiah will not only be a king, he will also be a priest. And so all of these things that the priest does is the thing that the Messiah shall do, this new David that they're looking for. Hope that makes a little bit more sense, and we will see you tomorrow in chapter 24. God bless.